Welcome back to ARC Tutorials. This is HTML full tutorial series for absolute beginners. In this series, I will help you learn everything about HTML, including a bit of CSS, because without CSS, your HTML will be incomplete. So in today's episode, we are going to see different ways of how we write CSS and different ways of including CSS into our HTML code. We will try and utilize the HTML tags we have learned so far in this series in order to keep that learning going, as well as learning and mastering the tags that you have already learned. Let's get started. This is part 12 of the series, and if you haven't checked out the previous episodes, I'll request you to kindly do so. You will have continuity in learning, as well as it will help you master HTML. Alright, so today we are learning about how to include CSS in HTML. Before we learn how to write or what to ways to include, first it's important to understand what is CSS. CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheets. Cascading style sheets are used to format the layout of the web page, as well as it controls the entire look and feel of your application. So whenever we talk about look and feel, it relates from every small thing to complex things, like a small thing like how a link should appear, how a image should appear, how a button should look like, what should be the bold color, text color, right? So those are all the small things, right from that to advanced things in CSS, like say grid, the layout, the structure, where should which component go, and much more. In short, I can tell you that CSS controls the entire web page application's look and feel, as well as the layout. With that knowledge, now let's learn how to write basic syntax of writing CSS. Always remember, you would first start with the element, okay, the name of the element, and then curly brace open, curly brace closed. In between, you will write the CSS code. Now this is an attribute, this is a value. So if you look at it, it's a key value kind of a combination. The name of the key, these are standard and predefined set of keys. You do not have to by heart it, but I promise you, as you start working in HTML and CSS, over a period of time you will use them so many times that you will automatically get it by heart. For now, even if you don't by heart, it's fine, because we are going to show like 5 or 10 keys, attributes of CSS that we will learn today, and I'll give you a list as we grow progress, right? So for starters, all you need to do is, how do you write CSS? You will write the element name followed by open curly brace, then the CSS attribute name colon value semicolon, and then close the curly brace. That's the basic syntax of writing CSS. Let's see that first, and then I'll come to ways of including the CSS. Alright, so this is the index.html that we are working. We are adding all the tags in it, and I also have a running notes of tags that we are learning. I hope you are clear so far, and let me open the index.html. Now what we are going to do is, we are going to style this application. Let me show you how to run it, right? A lot of you have also written to me asking, can you show me how do you run it? So you don't run any HTML code, it renders in your browser. All you have to do is open it in a file folder, or wherever you are, whichever folder, right click, open with your browser. It can be Chrome, Firefox, IE, doesn't matter. So this is what we have built and learned, all the different tags that we have put together in the HTML so far. Now let's use this opportunity to style it and using CSS. Okay. Alright, so or I can also create a new one, basically just to show you how easy it is. So create a new one. We know that the first line should be doc HTML, then HTML structure will have head, body, and close the HTML. Alright, so I'm just going to keep it simple. I'm going to give a heading and say my uh, personal space. Okay, so how do you save it? You just save it as a .html extension. So I'm going to call it home.html. It can be any name that you want to give, need not to be home. Okay, and then right click, just open it in any browser does fine. Okay, so it's just a simple heading that we have added so far. Now let's add some paragraph, and then we'll style it up. This is my personal home page. Okay, just a simple h1 and a paragraph tag that we have already learned as part of our if you see the tags that we have learned so far, we have h1 and we also have paragraph tag. Okay, some of you have written me asking about div and span that I'm covering very soon after this because they are block level elements, so I'll cover it as part of that. Alright, so first in the head section define style. Okay, you write the style tag inside the HTML for now, and inside style I told you the element name. So in our case the element name is h1, right? We are telling it's the h1 tag, and what you should do, if you leave it empty it will tell you that do not use rule set CSS. That means it's empty, but I'm going to say background color should be pick any color of your choice, doesn't matter, uh, right? Alright, so end with semicolon. Okay, and if you see the syntax, element name, open curly brace, close curly brace, in between you'll write the CSS attribute name followed by the value. If you don't know the attribute name, just type B and Visual Studio Code will give you all the options that are available. Similarly, you can type V, you can type C, T, right? So there are so many things. I would say start with B. Okay, so when you type background it would give you all the options which are available in CSS. So for now let's stick with this and just save it, go back to your browser and just refresh the page. You see that it added a background color. Now I want to add some more features, like say I want to add color. I want to change the color to navy blue. Now it has become navy blue, right? So essentially what you're seeing here is simple. um, you have your h1 tag that's defined here and you're adding the CSS. Okay, so this is one way of adding CSS. I can also style the paragraphs similarly. I have a paragraph tag here, so I'm writing paragraph. Color should be shade of black and font size should be 20 pixel. Okay, now for now don't worry what is px. Px stands for pixels in the screen. Okay, there are different ways like em, rem. I'll cover that as we progress. Remember, you're not trying to rush into learning. We'll go step by step. Just stay with me, understand how to write CSS today. Now let's go ahead, refresh this page, and now you see the font has become big. It has become 222. That's the shade of the color I'm using. Okay, like shade of black. Alright, so that's how basic CSS is added, right? Now you can apply that to anything that you like. You can add italics, right? This is my website, right? https arctutorials.com, right? So if you see, this is the italics. Now I want to increase the size, I want to change the color. You would do the same way. You would put navy color link, and I'm going to say text decoration none. None means don't show the underline by default, right? Otherwise if I say underline, it would show a underline to this entire italics thing, right? You can also hike up the font size, make it 20 pixel, right? And it becomes big. Okay, this is a simple example to get you started on CSS. I hope now at least you are aware of the CSS syntax, like how do you write, how do you read the code. So when you look at some CSS code like this, you should read it like there is a h1 element in the web page and it has some CSS properties. The property name is background hyphen color and this is the value. Okay, CSS will always have key value pair. A lot of times people will make mistake in this. They would write background color and they'll expect it to work. It won't work. You need to give hyphen. CSS properties, they are separated by hyphen. Okay, similarly like see here, font hyphen size, text hyphen decoration. Okay, remember, don't make that mistake. Alright, so this is the way to write CSS syntax. Now I told you there are three ways of writing CSS. Okay, so let me go back to that. So there are three ways how you can include CSS in HTML pages. One is inline, one is internal, one is external. What you just saw is an example of internal. Internal means that it is inside this particular HTML. You see here, this style tag, whatever is written inside the head tag is only for this web page, only for home.html, and that's why it is called internal, because all the styles here written are applied to the elements in the body. That's why it's called internal. There is one more way of writing CSS in the page. Let's say I'm going to take say bold tag for now, and I'll say this is a bold element. Okay, now the other way of writing is inline. Inline means along with this there is an attribute that you can write directly here. Font size 20 pixel. Now see here, this when you write this style inside the style tag inside the head element, it becomes internal. Internal. When you write along with the element, it becomes inline. Okay, so understand the difference, that there is inline and there is internal. Inline means writing style attribute along with element. Internal means writing style inside head section and applies to all elements in page. Okay, now let me show you that. Save it, go back here. Now what do I mean by internal applies to all the paragraphs? Now see here, I have a paragraph. I'm going to add one more paragraph after this bold. Okay, let's go back and first see the output. So this is bold content if you see, and I'm going to say color red. So it has become red color because this is inline styling. Now I have defined a style for paragraphs in the page. All the paragraphs should have black color, but now I'm going to change it to say purple. Okay, it means find all the paragraphs in this particular web page and apply these colors. So if you see that I have two paragraphs, now both will be purple. Now see here, this has become purple, this has become purple. So that way any paragraphs you have in the page will have the same style. That's why it is called internal styling. Okay, I hope it's clear to you the difference between inline styling and internal styling. Inline applies to only one element. That means only to this particular element. Whereas internal can apply to multiple elements in the same go. It need not to be only paragraph, it can be any element, h1, paragraph, I, h2, h3, h4, whatever tags you define. Find all the elements with paragraph, apply the style. That's what this means. Here it means find this element and apply that style. Alright, so now these are the two ways we saw. What is external? External is nothing but you cut all this code, cut it here, open a new file, add it, save as my styles.css. Remember, okay, it already exists, so I'm going to change and say global style styles.css. CSS you will save it with .css extension. Okay, remember that. No need of adding style tag inside CSS. It already knows that this is CSS. In HTML, then you will link it. You will say relevance, right? You will say href equal to global styles.css, and this is your closing tag. Okay, so here we are just writing the CSS outside of HTML and just linking it inside this web page. So whatever styles are applicable here will be applied on this web page. So clearly you see that it is not applying the style. Okay, so let's see that it has not applied the style. Let's debug that now. So here, so I have given global styles dot link style, and we'll mention relevance equal to style sheet and global, and let's say dot slash. So it is not applying. Let's debug why. You have the home here, you have the style. Oh, okay, sorry, my bad. Okay, so it is link. You will link it as relevance equal to style sheet, and you will write href equal to dot slash global styles, close the link. So now you see it is back. Okay, so this is how you link the external CSS. Okay, so remember three ways. One is through inline, one is internal, one is external. External is nothing but you write a generic CSS code and just import it into other file and use it. You can use the same HTML CSS file in any HTML you want to use. Now in index also I'm using the same CSS. That means now my application's look and feel will be same. Let's see that. So if you see here, these have become purple, you see, and all the size has increased because they're all paragraphs have applied purple color, right? So if you see H1 again, if you see, this is a inline styling applied on this ARC tutorials title here. This is an external, and we can also write internal all styles also. Okay, so that's how you can write your own overriding of styles. We'll cover that later. For today we'll keep it simple, short, which is learning the write the basic CSS and knowing how to write CSS outside, save with .css extension, and use link tag, link to add it to HTML page. Okay, those are the three things we saw today: inline, internal, and external. We'll continue writing CSS, lot of CSS. I'll keep working with you on all the three different ways, sometimes internal, sometimes external, sometimes inline, so in order to train you. Okay, so in the tags we also learned about link, which is used to link your CSS. Okay, so go through this tutorial. If you are I would say take it slow, practice it with me, and you will be ready in no time. Okay, so that's all for today. In the next episode we are going to learn about links in HTML, because if you see our application right now, this is a link, but it's not behaving like one. You will know why in the next episode, and you will know how to write the links also. We'll use the same styling CSS as we progress in the series. I hope you are enjoying this series. I hope you are learning. If you are finding it tutorial useful, please do drop your comment so I'll know that it's helping you, and I'll keep rolling more videos for you. Thank you so much for joining in this episode. See you in the next episode.